Hello. How are you, my friend? I want to trust that you are very well protected. Here is Teacher Shadrach again, still demystifying computer studies project year 2025. Yes, we are in part 14 of our series of so many videos that we have done together. And I thank you very much because you have tuned in once again to watch yet another video to support your work, the work that you are dealing with, coming up with your own publication, coming up with your own work that you can just look at and admire in the long run and say, this is my own production. Today, where do we go? I'm looking at the paper and I'm seeing like what mainly remains is developing reports. You should be aware that apart from the mentioned reports, you notice like in part H, they are talking about generating reports. So I'm still having our roadmap of what is required. So I keep referring to this document. It's not my own imagination. The many things that we have done so far, you realize that we have so far answered so many questions. We have earned a lot of marks. Now we want to demystify the issue of developing reports. I know in the previous video, that is video 13, we looked at how do we group. I know it's an issue that doesn't become very clear unless repeated over and over. And that's what I would like us to still handle that today, God willing. And we see as much as possible how we create reports easily and how we must remember always, every time you create a report, there are those your own customized summaries that you must always generate at the bottom of every report. Okay, so welcome on board. I will start with the report we are required to create, a report of clubs, activities, and events. That's the very last statement that we have on the paper. Generate report of clubs, activities, and events. That's where we shall begin. Therefore, on your screen there, I believe if I zoom in, I am suspicious that probably the tables that I have here might be most of them you might be having them because the approach would be almost similar. And therefore, even if it's not exactly like mine, you know what represents what, which table represents what information and the like. Okay, so welcome on board. We continue together. We want now to create a report of activity contributions, club activities and events. So the activities, are in activities table, and this is where we got every activity has got a number. Every club is represented there, club ID. And remember, when we transfer this to report, I wonder whether it is going to capture the number or instead it will capture the name. So remember, in previous videos, I showed you when you you use lookup wizard to create a relationship between two tables, and then you happen to hide the key column. Then what happens is that it will be unhidden at the time of generating reports. At the time of generating reports and also generating queries, you realize that instead of us seeing what we are seeing in this case, we shall see the club ID, the actual club ID. Then the activity name is there, activity date, amount spent, and the like. So where do we begin? It's easy, just anywhere. You can design a report just like forms. You can use report tool, you can use report design, you can use blank report, you can use report wizard. But this time around, for this kind of a report, which is going to integrate two tables, I prefer, because I would want to see computer science club appearing up there, and then below it, we have got the scheduled activities by that particular club. And then the next club, debate club, plus the scheduled activities. So again, it's gonna be a grouped report this time round, we are going to use a report wizard to make our work a little bit easy. And let's carry on. Report wizard is the tool to click, and you get a series of questions of how do you want this task to be done. We start by a table called clubs table. Wherever you have stored your clubs, that's the time now we need it. We need it to come in, here. Then club ID, club name. We need club category. Not really. So I want to include patron and probably club logo. Then club motto. All that information is too much. I don't know. But let's see whether it's going to fit. If it doesn't, what we are going to do is that we shall be eliminating some of the irrelevant fields that we feel they are not very relevant. Then still under tables and queries again, I go back there. And now this time we are choosing activities table, the table which stores information about activities, which every club has engaged itself in. Activity ID might be necessary. Club ID will be a repetition. So don't choose a field, especially the foreign versus primary. If you have chosen it in the primary table or from the primary key, you need not repeat it again. So club ID, I ignore it. Activity name, activity date, amount spent. Okay. So far so good. That's enough for that. And then the common question, even when we are generating forms, you remember there is such a scenario. How do you want to view your data? Is it by activities or is it by clubs? The one which will give us the picture that I have in mind, that club details to be at the top there, and then the activities scheduled to be at the bottom, is when we organize it by the table which has the primary key. In this case, I am thinking of club ID. Where do we have the primary key among the two tables? It is in clubs TBL. Then the foreign key is in activities TBL. So if you use activities TBL, it will just be a list of clubs plus an activity, another, and the picture will not come out the way we want it. Carry on to the next step, guys. Then how do you want to add any grouping levels? Do you want to add any grouping levels? This question is very critical. So far, our report is already grouped by club ID. Okay, it's already grouped by club ID. But remember, we may want a scenario where we are analyzing every year what are the events or the activities that we are organized by our different clubs. And therefore, how would we achieve that? We would achieve that if we would group our report by activity date. There's a reason why I'm choosing activity date, so that we can see the diversity of what how can you modify the dates column to cater for annual events or quarterly events and so on. So I've chosen activity ID and I want it to be the priority key, to be the priority grouping field. Why? This report gonna analyze how many events were organized by different clubs in the year 2025 or 2024 and so on. And then now, when I still have activity date selected, I go down to grouping options, and there I've got the grouping intervals. When you choose grouping options and it's a date that you are referring to, then you notice you're going to find the field is there. But what about the interval? Do you want a monthly analysis? Do you want what other options do we have here? I drop down the list, quarter, after a phase of 4 months. Or do you want daily? Or do you want annual? We want annual, and therefore I'll choose year. Grouping interval to be year. When you want something annual, a grouped report yearly, you choose year. So that's an annual report. Therefore, I click OK. Anything else? Basically, no. And then the next step, do you want to have summary at the bottom? This is what I said, that summaries are normally assessed. A report without a summary can be easily ignored by the examiner because there are strict instructions as they are assessing your work. Any 5 reports with a summary. Any 5 reports with a summary. So an examiner will come and argue, this report, yes, it's there, but it has no summary. And then I'm not given a provision of half a mark. Okay. So you may lose all the 5 if you fail to include this. Very important. It's very critical to include summaries at the bottom of the reports. To get, I'm giving you tips to pass computer projects. Very good. So we choose what are we going to summarize on. Amount spent would be much okay. It would be much okay. And at the summary option, then sorry, I have mixed you up. Let me first go back. Not back really, but here I was hurrying towards summary options, but here is about sorting. The logical thing to sort these items by is by activity date. Then you may want to view the newest first, or the last, or the first, you know, descending or ascending. I believe you know that order. So let me say the last activity that we held recently to appear at the top, for my own reasons, not basically for what the examiner, there's no place for that. Then summary options, we only have one field which can be summarized, and this field is amount spent. But what do we want to calculate on it? We want to calculate on it probably the amount, the sum of the amount spent. The sum of the amount spent. If you want to further check out what these other options will do, it's upon you. But for now, I feel it's satisfactory to have the sum of amount spent. Therefore, I click on next. I click on what layout do I want? Block, stepped. So look at the preview area and choose the one which you like best. Choose the one which you like best. Personally, I don't know why I normally fall in love with what we call block, but that's upon you. Then there are times when you'll feel a report might be having so many columns, and that is what will determine the orientation that you are going to use. Orientation can be of 2 types. Number 1, set or trait, and number 2 can be landscape. Very good. Yeah, I should actually have cheered you up. Very good. Then we carry on next. So what title do we need? And this is the title which will also be used for the name of the report. So let me call it Activities RPT, and then later now we shall do the adjustments. So when I finish, I'm expecting to see the structure of the report. Very appealing, isn't it? Because it's done by the computer, but you realize it comes in very messy condition. It's just messy, very messy. Okay? So it's now upon you to go to design view, and then you start doing you redesign whatever the computer will have generated. You can try the other layouts. You see what the computer may generate. It might be more favorable if you chose outline or stepped, whatever. But in this case, we used block, and you can see the kind of a structure that we have gotten. But nevertheless, when you know what you know, this thing's gonna be very easy. Now, let's study the different parts that we have gotten to this report. One, we have got report header. Report header, you can imagine a report header as if this report gonna be if it were a very big report, like say Safaricom wanted to publish a book with all their clients or customers, then it is a volume of pages and pages, probably like a Bible, isn't it? That would have a cover page. That cover page is the contents that we would insert, and the report header there, up there, is what we would have as the cover page. So the report header is what, if you want to design a full page, a header, or if you want to have an introductory part of the report, this is what will appear at the very first page of your report. Okay? Then page header, at the top of every page, there is what we shall see, be it a date, be it page number, whatever else, or column labels, whatever you may want us to see, put them under page header. Then now we have got the activity date header. Activity date header. Remember, this is where we have said we group our report by annual. Annual, when I say annual, I mean that we shall display this report considering year 2024, year 2023, year 2025 downward, and so on. Okay? So, what you may want to see at the top of as we begin every year's report, then we should place it under activity date header. Then club ID header. Computer club has got so many clubs, so many activities. So let us first have a heading there. Okay. Therefore, there are some things I'm going to adjust here, and then you will, by seeing the effect of that on our report, probably you'll understand, because I know you normally understand things very fast. I'm sorry for covering you. You normally understand, that's an amazing fact, that you normally understand things very fast. So, what do? I want to start with the area called Club ID header. Therefore, I'm going to kind of expand it down like that, and fields that are related to the club, like I can see partly Club ID is hiding here. Drag it, drop it there. That's a label. Club name is also there. Drag it, drop it there. Patron is also a club identifier. Then the club logo. Club logo, I may want to have it on that side there. I can see this formatted thing. Let's check from the properties sheet. What's this? I don't want to assume. Format, activity date, YYY, and then 00. So what would you imagine that? That this is a field which will display the year part from the activity date. And therefore, we only have year, like year, a value like 2023, 2024, 2025. And the computer is calling it activity date by year. So where do we place that one? This one, we shall insert it at the activity header, activity date header, like there. And then I pull down the respective label. This is the text box. This is the label. Okay. So where do we get the text boxes for club ID? They are in the details section. 1, club ID is there. 2, club name is there. 3, patron is there. Patron. And then the text box. This is not the text box. It's an image box. An image box because this is an attachment. And that's why it appears funny. So it looks like it is funny. Funny. I drag it and drop it into club ID header. Well, we had other issues like club motto. Let me have it there. Then club motto. I put it there. So those are items that are identifying our club. Can I check what I have done so far? Yeah, I can always switch it to print preview. And I can always check. Yeah. So activity date by year 2025. Okay. Club ID 1. Club name computer C. Patron Mr. Dominic. Club motto technology. Yet I know it's a longer statement there. Okay. However, our report somehow is taking shape by far, isn't it? If you know how to observe things from afar, then you can know that it is taking shape. In a certain language, they normally say an old man like I am is normally able to see very far, miles and miles away, than a boy who is seated on top of a large tree up there. Widest. We are resizing these text boxes to widest. And then I always like them when they are left aligned. Those labels which I have selected, all of them together, I always prefer when they are left aligned. Okay. Then now I can see there are some other labels up here. Drag them just above detail bar, and these will be the identifiers of activities carried out by different clubs. If I'm not wrong, all the fields or the labels that identify different activities carried out by different clubs, they are here. They are here. Okay, so there we are. We have got activity name. What did I do? There is something that I have messed up. Just a minute, I do my corrections here. That's activity name. Do we need activity ID here? Leave it. Activity. I start now with the check what it is. It's activity date. So let it match with its label partner above. Okay. Then get the activity name. Then let the activity name match with its label partner above. Okay. Remember, the activity name might be a lengthy statement. So you need to adjust its width a little bit, like so. Then what else? This is activity what? Activity ID. Activity ID, I guess. It may not require all that space. I will just leave it as ID. So I'm reducing the text in the label. Never touch the text that is appearing within the lower text box, within the text box. But the text in a label can always be adjusted. A label is just an identifier of what you are representing down there. So to what? Not to widest, but to narrowest. We are resizing the two to rhyme. Okay. Then amazingly, I failed to find the matching text box for amount spent. No worry. But if you look carefully, when you use the kind of layout that we use for this report, you'll always notice a bar on the extreme right side along the margin edge of the page. You'll notice there is such a thing. So if you widen it, if you adjust its width, there you find it's the missing thing. Sometimes they can be overlapping 2 or 3, or depending on the width of your page, you may find them overlapping. Okay. Yeah. So how is our report now? Show us how our progress is at. It looks boring and just plain and okay. We don't like the grace and what else? Things are not very good. Then look at this, the whole of this area which has been left there blank. Then the same area follows like that. You go to page 2. Things are just appearing weird and funny. Okay, this is another club, the debate club, and so on. So let's now try to reorganize our report. Well, I start by choosing these labels, all of them, including the label above there, and I'll cause them to be left aligned. So I go to Arrange menu. When the labels are all selected, remember I taught you how to do selection, multiple selection. Then align where? Lefts. Align lefts. That makes those labels to be aligned together. Then if you want to do some other adjustment, bolding them, changing their color, that's now upon you. I'll not dwell so much on that. Then I want also this line here to be bolded as well, and also with a similar color of labels. I widen this one. I have noticed ID is not fully appearing, so I just need to widen a little bit. This is also a label, bold. You have not liked the space that we have beneath every line that we are representing information. What is the cause of that? This white gap below the details section, after we have placed our text boxes within the details section, we realize that after I moved the club logo, which had made the details section to be too long in height, with a large height, now we need to adjust it because we moved the club logo upward. We moved the club logo upward. Then you reorganize the report to make sure that everything appears as appealing as possible. Okay. Then page header. So far we have nothing in it, so I'm just dragging it upward. And let's check now how things are. We faring on well. Let's see. Activity date by year 2025. Club science, computer science, and it's the logo. Activity date, there we are. Dates are descending from the last activity we had, going down. Then the amount spent. Unfortunately, I can see the word sum here, and I'm anticipating to see the respective sum around here. I cannot see it. Let's check under debate club whether the similar pattern also appears. And then again, compare a computer club and versus what? Versus the debate club. Computer club header is in white, but the header of the next club, debate, is in gray. The next one is in white. So what did we call that? We called it alternating color. So when you have a report with so many bands, with so many sections, it's always good when you do not want the computer, Microsoft Access, to keep mixing colors for you. Just right click the band that is affected and then talk about alternate color. Sorry, what have I done? Alternate fill color. I don't know what I am doing, that it is not showing. Okay, sorry, it's me who was not pointing to the arrow. I choose none. Okay, I choose none, and then detail, it's okay. For details, I find it's okay when we have the alternate color for legibility only, just for legibility only. Then we have also realized that the sum, which I am not liking the word sum, I should say total amount spent in the year. Total amount spent in the year. Then, just like we saw amount spent the other time, we had to look for it somewhere it was hidden. Likewise, even the field to show the sum is also hidden on the extreme right side of your report. So just select it like that and then try to widen it. Try to widen it, and that is what will make it appear the way you would want it to appear. Then there is the summary statement that we have here, summary for automatically generated by the computer. I don't prefer where it is. I prefer it being below the one which we are now trying to show, the summary, our own summary of the totals that have been that we have spent, that have been spent by the clubs. So like that. So I have interchanged the two labels. The two labels, you know, and the pair of the label and the text box. So they are now above the other one which was generated by the computer. Then another undesirable scenario is the width of this text box here. I just needed to squeeze it a little bit. And then probably also activity date might be too wide. I might require again to resize it. And then this is activity date footer. In other words, it's the one which is talking about the overall annual amount spent by all clubs. So I will say annual total spent by all clubs. Okay, annual total amount. And again, it's hiding itself here, here. Then, just like we did the other one. Let's do it. Same case. Okay, that way. Then we do not want the footer also to be having that alternating color. So I'll fill alternate fill. I choose none. I choose none. And then my own fill color for the club footer shall be a color that I know very well. Which color did I apply there? I want to apply a color like that one. And some of these boxes, we make them transparent. So I go to format and I say shape fill. I say transparent. Okay, anytime you want to show the background and the box before in front of the background is hiding it, then you always make it visible by making it transparent. That's another beauty of using Microsoft Access, that you can always choose to fill objects or fail to fill them with a color in case of need. Okay, so there we are. Hey, I don't want to dwell so much on the formatting of report. Probably what I can also show you is how will I get a logo for my report. Already, I have designed a logo that I have stored somewhere. So to put a logo at the report header, I'll go to report design, and then I'm going to choose the image control. Image control there, image control. Then I put this image where I want my image to be shown. Then there the computer asks me, where is your image? Using the dialog, the common dialog of open a file together. Okay. So I go to where we have got the photo, the image that I'm using. So it's around there, and then I'm calling it logo, logo there. Then unfortunately you realize that it comes with a white color in the background. I want to remove the white color, shape fill, I call it transparent. And the logo, the way I have designed it, it requires to be on a darker background. So I'm going to use a dark background, say that color, that color. Then this box, I am going to tell the computer to use a sizing mode that we call a stretch. So when I use stretch, now the contents of my logo are forced to fit into the whole section. So what is remaining is renaming the report header. I'm going to call it annual club events and activities. Annual club events and activities. And then the color that is shown there is not contrasting at all, so we get a contrasting color and probably a dark font, a thicker font, which will make the contents to be very clear and visible. And that takes us to where? I'm now switching to print preview. Okay. So far so good, although the mixture of colors, it's like I am creating a crashing color as a footer of every club. But nevertheless, you can see, ideally, now we are getting somewhere, isn't it? We are getting somewhere. Now, let me show you some techniques that we also apply. Like you want to have a line above the detail section, and then a line probably below, for the labels, and probably before you get to the footer. So what we can do is to utilize the tools that we have here. So I have picked the line tool, and then I want to have a line just before the labels identifying what each column represents. I draw a line there, a line across up to there. Then you can give this line its own appearance, whatever how you would want it to appear. I want it blue. I also want it to be thicker. So I'm choosing this from format menu, shape outline, shape outline, shape outline. That's where I'm getting that. Then I want to reproduce this line. Control C, Control V. I get a new copy to put just beneath the labels, just beneath the labels there. Okay. Then I have seen also the undesirable, the funny appearance of the footer section. So I'm going to fill it with some other color. Let me try to choose another contrasting blue, and I get another color for the label there, a color like yellow contrasts all the times. Even if you do not know colors, yellow will always contrast nicely with blue. Yellow will always contrast very well with blue. Yes, who is disputing that? Who is disputing? Who is saying that yellow is not a good color? Well, you don't know colors. If you say yellow is not a good color, you don't know colors, I tell you. Now, okay, so far so good. So, the next question that I would also like to respond to when we are here, you can see, yes, we have Computer Science Club here. There is a lot of improvements that are required again. So you explore around, see how you can play around with the different items that we have there. But there is another issue I want to address here, that we may want at the top of, after every report, after every club has exhausted its items, and then the summary for the club is shown, why don't we just go to the next page? Why don't we just go to the next page? It's okay. So what we do is to go to the footer of the section that we are interested with. From here onward, we want to break, to have a page break. So I have chosen the club ID footer, and then from the properties sheet on the format page, properties sheet, format page, what do I choose? Force new page, and then after section, force new page after section, force new page after section. So what does that affect? That affects the placement of items. When you have a grouped report, you'll notice that now every club, they have got their details within one page. So within this page one, I have nothing else apart from Computer Studies, Computer Science Club. I go to the next club, which is a debate club. Then we exhaust the items under debate club, and then next I go to yet another club, and so on. So guys, that's about organizing a report and fixing the summaries at the bottom. Okay. Then there is also something that I also need to mention about this. How do you know what to place where? How do you know what to place where? Like now we have seen that clubs, these details identifying the club, including the column labels, they are appearing at the top of every club. We may also want to show probably the activity here to also go hand in hand. At the top of every club, why can't we see the same repetition of activity by date, by year? And I am not actually liking that statement very much. How do we make it better? What are you saying? Who can give us a guess? People like, let me not mention you by names, but I could have mentioned annual events, let's say analysis of annual events organized by the club in the year then remember to pull this one quite close here and then probably make it to have a similar appearance like in the rest. So I don't know whether a format painter, can it do that for me? Yes, it can format for me. So at the top of every club now, I'll have that statement. The only challenge would be, where is it placed? Analysis of annual events organized by the club in year. So in other words, I need to interchange computer science club to be up there and so on. So the organization, now I know you are well able to handle the organization of the report, but you realize that statement now is recurring at the top of every club analysis. So it depends on what? It depends on where did you position something within the design, So you can try to explore around, to play around with those different sections that the computer will generate for you. And I know there is much more to be said about reports, how we create them, but for now, that's a good start. Okay, that's a second report, so I know we are catching rhythm. So as we continue, we shall probably be able to see more and more how we can come up with better appealing reports. All the best, guys. Keep it here. Let's meet again for yet another video. Thank you for watching. God bless you. You safe.